I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, June the 28th, brought to you in part by To Leave by Norbrook. To Leave is your ready-to-use, single-shot, affordable alternative to Draxxin that uses a low-volume dose and is rapidly absorbed, delivering proven efficacy against a wide range of diseases. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Harriet Hageman's bill. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this yet. I hadn't heard about it. It was brought to my attention by Brett Kinsey of RCAF. And some of you people think that I'm against RCAF or I'm not an RCAF fan. That's not true at all. A lot of RCAF members are also Feeder Flash gang members and vice versa. I think we see pretty much everything the same. And I just like democracies better, but I'm going to challenge some of these other trade organizations to start supporting Harriet Hageman's bill. I'm going to personally challenge U.S. Cattlemen's Association to consider supporting that bill, and I want to challenge NCBA into supporting Harriet Hageman's bill. Now, you remember Harriet Hageman. She's from Wyoming. She's the one that beat Liz Cheney. She was supported by Donald Trump. She's a congresswoman there in Wyoming, and she's conservative. And she is joined by 14 other sponsors to overturn the Biden administration's mandatory EID for cattle. Now, I just mentioned on the very last feeder flash that if somebody will get out front with the pointy stick, we can fall all in behind them. And here we've got somebody that's got the pointy stick out. She's making a push. Let's get in behind her. And there was a lot of sponsors from a lot of, just a wide variety of states that are there. She just stated, you know, in the bill that she's wanting to overturn the mandatory ID. She thinks that we have been doing a good job with disease traceability, and they're just using disease traceability to try to scare us in to liking this. But just like what I've been saying, she thinks that the main reason that they want the EID is so that they can poke their noses further in to small business owners, which are cattle ranchers fall overwhelmingly into small business owners' business, and it'll come down to carbon taxes and come down into just kind of poking their nose into your business. One thing that she cited was what happened in Ireland. Recently, Ireland approved mandatory EID on their cattle, and just a few months later there was a big push to get completely rid of 40-some thousand head because of climate change. I don't think we want to give folks that are got a green agenda in mind any more ammunition than what they already have. We don't need them poking in to our business, what's going on. And I think this is, you know, I said somebody just needs to push against this. I tell you guys, if we don't push against this and at least put up a hell of a fight against this mandatory EID on breeding stock and bison and on show cattle and rodeo cattle and all that kind of thing, if we don't put up a fight on that, one day we're going to wake up and it's going to be on all classes of cattle. Then we're going to have hell marketing the cattle the way we want to market them. You know, we've heard from big sale barn owners like Jackie Moore at Joplin Regional Stockyards. You know, they're saying, well, you know, they can pay the sale barns to put the tags in when they get there. He says, I don't have time to do it. I don't have the room to do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't have the help to do it. I don't have the desire to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then we've got a few sale barns says, well, we'll just charge them. There'll be another way for us to make money. But a going sale barn that is wanting to market cattle for people, and they're wanting to run the cattle through there the easiest way, the less stress, and without any shrink, they don't want to have to put tags in those cattle's ears. And you know, they're not making us, not saying that they're going to make us track the cattle every time we move them. They're just wanting the EID tags in there for their use. And I guarantee you they're going to have better readers than you've got, and theirs are going to be hooked to a drone, and they're going to be poking into your business no matter where you're at. But check into this Harriet Hageman's bill that's joined by 14 other sponsors pushing to overturn the mandatory EID that was just stroked by a pen by Secretary Vilsack. And let's put up a little fight against this deal. We've got some time to do it, and let's show them that we can get some, behind something like this. We saw some more fat cattle trade at $2 direct basis on Thursday. Not a lot, but we did have Northern Plains cattle feeders with good fat cattle passing $2 and even passing $2.02. So they're getting rather bold up there. Of course, they're the ones making the market up there. I haven't really seen any good bids down in the Southern Plains. We'll talk about what has happened in your fat cattle arena here in just a second. But it's the last feeder flash of the month, and you know what that means. It's time for your punchy pick of the month contest. First, we've been doing the Kids Corral. We don't have a sponsor yet for the Kids Corral. I think it would be cool if we gave something away that was kind of tied in with the youth for the Kids Corral, but for now we're just kind of giving them some recognition here. But let's go through your top picks on the Kids Corral. In third place is Don Mays with the Flying M Ranch. Their branding was going on, and they had 8-year-old Royce getting double hocks now. Right here, and this could be a little bit overkill on a calf. It looks like they could have just as easily wrestled down there, but I guarantee you that won't be the last one that he throws double hocks on, and probably on some bigger steers down the line. But I just thought that was a cool picture too for third place in the Kids Corral. Second place is Annie Dorr, and you look at these girls here, Rory and Ansley. They're getting ready to do some preg checking, maybe some AI work there. But I want to tell them, but one of the best ways to kind of prepare for that is to pay attention to the cattle, look behind you, kind of see what's going on. It may give you a step up on what's going on. But first place in the Kids Corral goes to Corey Mayland, and you know, one of the best things that kids are good for on the ranch or when you're running cattle is to open the gates, and they are getting the gate help started early right there. I thought that was such a cute picture there, and I can remember maybe not as far back as that little cowboy is, but I can remember when I was young struggling with one of those gates with barbed wire fence that it was hard to keep track of where the barbs were going to poke you as you were trying to drag that post around that was probably bigger than what you needed to handle. But I feel his pain right there. But that was fun for your Kids Corral. Now we're going to look at your top punchy picks of the month. Okay. We're going to start out, and I know two of these people that send in punchy picks and got in the top three. I don't pick out the top ones, but third place goes to Waylon Salter. Now I know Waylon Salter. I met him at an event in Louisiana where I was giving a presentation. He's a cool guy. I follow him on social media. One of the coolest things that Waylon does is he plays steel guitar, and I'm jealous of him. He plays Western swing music, plays steel guitar. He goes out on tour with the band, and they play all over South Texas and places like that, and I think it's super cool. But he's got a lot of cool stuff on his social media, but he had a calf there that had its head stuck in a tree, and he used Crisco to grease the sides of that tree up, and just that calf's head come right out. But check out Waylon Salter. He's a cool guy from Louisiana. Second place in the punchy pick of the month goes to another guy that I met, Ralph Chile. And Ralph, I met him in Florida. It was in northern Florida where I met him at where I was giving a presentation one time, and he come there and he had his daughter Juliana, and Ralph actually backgrounds cattle in Miami, Florida. I mean, right amongst the multi-million-dollar homes. It's kind of unbelievable where he was showing me that. But he puts a lot of cattle together, buys local cattle out of Florida, gets them straightened out, backgrounds them. Apparently, he handles some roping cattle too, because this roping steer, it looks to me like it was still a roping bull. They were putting some hay out there, and his daughter come around that hay bale and spooked that old boy, and instead of just going the other way, he jumped up on the flatbed, which you don't see that happen very often, and especially when he stood for a picture there. But I thought that was a pretty cool punchy pic from Ralph, and good to hear from you guys there. I enjoyed meeting you and visiting with you when I was out in Florida there. But the first place, the grand prize winner of the Punchy Pick of the Month contest this month is Eric Waters from Waurika, Oklahoma. Now check out this pick. Now this is a punchy pick. This is what I think is a punchy pick. Raish Casebolt, which is a good friend of Eric's there, he had come out to help gather some yearlings at their place early in the morning, and he went to warm his horse up, and it looked like the horse decided to warm his ass up, but he come unglued there, and I thought that was a great Punchy Pick of the Month contest winner for this month. Eric is going to receive a big old box on his front door. They're going to drop it right there. He's going to tie into it. It's going to have all kinds of t-shirts and caps and maybe a cooler and maybe a sweatshirt. You can't never tell what might be in there. Going to be stuff from Beaver Feed Company in Beaver, Oklahoma, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. He might want to bring some stock over from Waurika, and then he's going to get some stuff from Fairpiece. He's going to get stuff from Feeder Flash, NationalBeefWire, and he's going to get, most importantly, that whole case of Fairpiece to try out there. And I don't think it's going to work on his horse, but he might want to try it just to see what happens there. But congratulations to Eric Waters. And thanks to everybody for sending in their picks for the Punchy Pick of the Month and the Kids Corral. We enjoy looking at them every month and awarding the top prize winner. Let's talk about your board for Thursday. June live cattle futures are up $1.25, trying to get close to what was going on. Selling fat cattle for $2 a pound. You raised it $1.25 last day to trade and still just settled at $194.17. So is that a failed contract? As far as I'm concerned, it is. It's a failed contract. If you can't let your long positions demand delivery to balance that thing out, I don't know how you can call it an active and working contract there. August live cattle futures down 30 cents at 186.45. All the rest of them besides the spot month were lower. August was at just a 30 cents lower at 186.45. Your back months were down 37 cents to down as much as 97 cents on live cattle. Feeder cattle for August down $1.12 at 260.65. September down $1.07 at 261.40. Back months were down 67 cents to down $1.15. Did not bother cash feeders in the sale barns at all, and I'm going to tell you that, of course, like always, at the end of the report. Corn futures on Chicago Board of Trade up 2 cents a bushel at 4.15 3/4. Beans up 2 3/4 cents at 11.55. Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 1/4 cent a bushel at 5.92 1/4. Your fat cattle trade, we have yet to establish the market. We haven't had any trade at all in the Southern Plains on a direct basis. I'm going to tell you about some trade that happened on the Fed Cattle Exchange though in Texas, but no direct trade. Iowa sold 500 head on Thursday. They've sold 2,100 head for the week, just a few here and a few there. Live sales in Iowa on Thursday, $1.98 to $2. Like I said, a lot of producers passing the $2 and even passing $2.02, I heard. But some dress sales in Iowa at $317.50. Now we haven't heard that yet, so that's a pretty impressive dress price there in Iowa. So it's going to be steady to higher in the Northern Plains at least, guys. We saw 100 head sale in Nebraska. It was just a mixed bag cattle at 308, mixed steers and heifers, and they wouldn't have been too fancy, or they wouldn't have been mixed up like that. Kansas hasn't had any trade at all in the Southern Plains. Texas hasn't had any on direct basis, but on the Fed Cattle Exchange, they did sell beef on dairy, multiple listings of beef on dairy cattle, and they brought 193 bid the grid. So that gives you an idea that the market should be higher in the Southern Plains too. And we got to give Fed Cattle Exchange credit for trying to help establish a market there and giving transparency on prices. So we appreciate that. Box beef cutout values were mixed. Choice cuts were up 48 cents on Thursday afternoon at 323.33. Selects down 16 cents at 302.70. Your slaughter, 474,000 up through the first 4 days of the week. That was 7,000 less than last week. 29,000 less than the same week a year ago. Your actual slaughter information come back for the week ending June the 15th. Had your average dressed steer carcass weight at 917 pounds. You remember last week it dropped 6 pounds, and we thought it'd probably bounce right back up. I know we're up here at gigantic weights, but they are starting to come down a little bit. So we lost 6 pounds last week, and this week I lost another pound. So that 917 pounds was 1 pound less than the previous report. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services. That's Dakota Moss there in Oklahoma City. And he wants to remind you, today is the last day. I hope you're watching this early enough, but today is the last day of the transfer period if you want to change LRP agents. Because starting the 1st of July, you're stuck. So if you want to change, this is the open season or the transfer period. It was all through June. Now you've got the last day, and you're going to have to hump a little bit. You might want to go to their new and more interactive website, livestockriskservices.com. You can go in there and get a hold of an agent that's near you or one that you know. All of those guys are well versed in LRPs. Get a hold of them, and you can get on the online interactive page there and fill out an application right there. Get a lot of information about this, but check them out at livestockriskservices.com. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Thursday sitting at 256.66, down 69 cents from the end of Wednesday's trade, which surprised me just a little bit. But it didn't have a lot of big sales on Thursday. Pretty much all your Kansas sales were closed, and so we just had more hodgepodge sales and a smaller pool there. But your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was 259.04. Now I want to remind you about a lot of sales that are coming up here over the weekend, and we are going to have feeder flashes for Monday and Tuesday next week, and then we're going to take off for a few days there like everybody else for the midsummer break. But coming up this Saturday, I'm headed up to Pawhuska area, to Copan, Oklahoma, for the Coffeyville Stockyards Blue Stem Special. It's going to be on Saturday evening or late afternoon, I guess I should say. 20,000 head, going to be at the Cross Bell Ranch, Copan, Oklahoma. They're going to have steak sandwiches at 4:30. Going to start the sale at 5, starting a little bit early. We got dark on us last year, so we're starting a little bit early there. But that's going to be some really nice cattle there from the Flint Hills, from the Osage, right in there, and it will be a market tester, and we'll establish a price for some of those cattle coming out of there. Don't forget also on Friday here today, Stanton Union Stockyards in Stanton, Virginia is going to have 11 loads of yearlings on there. I think about 8 of them are going to be from an in-house video, and 3 more through the ring there in Stanton, which is not the norm. But if you guys out in that country, out in Pennsylvania, Eastern Corn Belt, interested in buying some yearling feeders right there, check them out on DVAuction.com, Stanton Union Stockyards there. Then coming up on Tuesday is July the 2nd. It's going to be the Big Bang sale on Primetime Livestock Video through Joplin Regional Stockyards. They're talking over 60,000 head on the Big Bang this year. They're going to have it at Pittsburgh, Kansas, at the Kansas Crossing Casino. Again, that worked out well, and so we're going to be doing that again. That is also going to be on DVAuction.com, or you can go to Primetime Livestock Videos website, and you can access the same video page right there, and you can view and bid also. So check out the Big Bang Primetime Livestock Video. It's going to be on July the 2nd. As soon as I get done at Blue Stem Special, I'm going to miss the Big Bang, which I hate to do, but I already made arrangements to be a speaker down in San Marcos, Texas. So we're going to be heading south to San Marcos July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I encourage you guys to come. You need a little break. There ain't a hell of a lot going on. Even if you're not near there, you can fly into San Antonio, Uber over to San Marcos, and go to the Independent Cattlemen's Association of Texas 50th Annual Convention. I'm going to be speaking. Justin Tupper is going to be speaking. Sid Miller, the Commissioner of Agriculture for Texas, is going to be speaking. We're going to talk about things most trade associations won't talk about. I'm going to be pushing this Harriet Hageman's bill, and it's going to be a good time. As I mentioned, Gary P. Nunn is the entertainment for the last night there. I'm going to be playing golf with Justin Tupper. That's going to be interesting. But anyway, we're going to have a good time there. I encourage you guys to come, especially if you're in the area. Now, let's talk about some big sales that happened on Thursday. Didn't really have a National Beef Wire Stickout Sale of the day. Probably would have been Lamona Livestock, but don't get that information electronically like I wish we did. But how about these individual quotes from all around? West Point Livestock Auction in West Point, Nebraska. That's the Shavens up there. They sold some heifers high as a tree. 87 head of 848-pound heifers bring $248.50. We couldn't get that for steers 3 weeks ago, guys. How about Maryville Livestock Auction in Maryville, Missouri? Tom Runyon up there, ownership on that. My good buddy Mike Frieden commissions cattle in there. The Maryville sale barn is gaining ground, guys. It's gaining steam all the time. Getting back some of those customers that they once had, and getting back some of the St. Joe customers. But check out this quote on grazing type steers. 52 steers weighed 662 and bring $309 a pound at Maryville Livestock Auction. How about out east? Bluegrass Stockyard South, Stanford, Kentucky, sells 60 steers, weigh 912 and bring $259. Now that was my favorite quote from no telling how many loads of yearling steers and heifers. I tell you what, they get them in Stanford, guys. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday in your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day was a string of cattle that come through Lamona Livestock in Lamona, Iowa. Jason Allen does a good job there. Jared Miller, they've got that sale rolling now. And this consignment was my old neighbor when I lived in northwest Missouri, M.L. McCrae from the Maysville, King City area there. Been background in cattle forever, and he keeps bringing them to Lamoni. He's established his reputation. That's what you guys got to do. We've seen the Rockin' R's in Unionville, Missouri. You've got to stick with somebody that you like and establish a reputation. Brings the buyers up to the edge of their seat, especially if you're doing a good job like those guys do. And the cattle were black. The cattle had a green look to them, even though they've been backgrounded. They had a fair weigh up. And 7 loads of them, 400 head. The 7 loads, the average of the loads was 849 pounds with an average price of $271.82. If that doesn't impress you, the last 3 loads of them averaged 817 pounds, and they all 3 brought $277.75. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.